All right, guys, we're going to go live here in a couple minutes. Give me a couple minutes, and we are going to be going live very soon. All right, guys. Well, we are live here at Framing the World with a very special live stream. It's been a while. I have been doing these less and less lately, mostly because I have been working my tail off on getting the new Temple film done. And every time I do a live stream or every time I do anything that's not my film, it always slows me down. And so I've been, for the last 3 to 4 months here, I've been working my tail off trying to get this movie done. And it is coming together really good. So, for those of you who are listening and have no idea what I'm talking about, I am currently making a film about the true location of the Temple Mount, or the true location of Solomon Herod's temple, and the true location of Christ's crucifixion. And so I have been working on this film for a little over 3 years, and it hasn't been nonstop 3 years, but it's been off and on for 3 years. I've been working on this film, and it has been definitely a project that is unlike any project I've ever worked on. It's been very time consuming to research all of these issues because I want this film to be accurate. I want the film to be clear, concise, accurate, and just amazing. I want you guys to watch this film and be like, wow, I learned something awesome today, and be blown away by it. And I really do believe that this film is going to blow you guys away. And for those of you who think that, this topic doesn't matter, it does. And so I just want to go through just a couple elements of the film today just to get you guys pumped a little bit, get you guys on board. I want to get everyone trying, back on track for supporting this film. And so what I wanted to talk about today is that the true location of Christ's crucifixion is east of the temple. And I'm going to show you just a clear way to prove it to you that Christ's crucifixion was east. So let's get right into it. I think there's nothing better to prove your point than to use God's word. And so we're going to just show you 4 different passages to kind of prove that not only did the temple face east, but Jesus was crucified east of the temple. And so let's go through it real quick. Here we go. Numbers 3:38. But those that encamped before the tabernacle toward the east, even before the tabernacle of the congregation eastward, shall be Moses and Aaron and his sons, keeping the charge of the sanctuary for the charge of the children of Israel. And the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death. Notice how it says that those that encamp before the tabernacle toward the east. So if you're at the tabernacle, you're toward the east. You're eastward. That verse clearly says that the temple or the tabernacle faced east. And then we have this verse that talks about the temple and it facing east. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, the door of the temple of the Lord between the porch and the altar were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east. And they worshiped the sun toward the east. So clearly, in Ezekiel, it's talking about the temple, and God said that the temple faced east. Afterward, he brought me again unto the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward, for the forefront of the house stood toward the east. And the waters came down from under the right side of the house at the south side of the altar. So right there, clearly, the Bible's saying that the tabernacle faced east and the temple faced east. So if you believe the words of the Bible, that is what we know, is that the tabernacle and the temple, which the tabernacle was before the temple, and the temple was built on top of the tabernacle, same location. And both of those face east. Now, everyone pretty much agrees with that. And so you're probably asking, well, why are you pointing this out to me, this fact that the tabernacle faced east, if everyone agrees? Well, that's something I've never really was taught before. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've probably never heard that or never listened to that before either, is that the temple faced east. And so I just wanted to kind of give you guys some information. If you're interested in the Bible at all, you know, this kind of stuff is super interesting. So if you look at the top 6, and we have 7 listed here, this is a drawing, right, of the different temple locations, and they're numbered there 1 through 7. But notice how they're all facing east except for one. Now, north is at the top of the paper here, and then, you know, south is the bottom, west is the left, and then east is the right. So notice how they're all facing east, because everyone can pretty much agree that the temple faced east. So the confusion of where Christ was crucified is you know, do you believe that the temple? So let me get to that. Hold on, sorry. So there's 2 main points. There's 2 main places that we're told that the true location of Jesus Christ was crucified. So there's 2 places that if you go to Jerusalem now, they're going to say that Christ was crucified, either at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is the Catholic location of where Jesus was crucified, and we have Gordon's Calvary. So both of those places are the official places where Jesus was crucified. Okay? So I believe that both of those places are false, and I'm going to prove it to you. And it can be proved that we can know where Jesus was crucified from one verse here that's very important in Matthew. Matthew 27:50 through 54 gives us a location of where Jesus is crucified. So pay attention closer. With that knowledge in mind, pay attention to what Matthew 27:50 through 54 says. Here we go. Jesus, when he cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. So Jesus just died, and behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain, from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. So notice, he's saying that the veil of the temple was rent in twain. Okay, that means the veil of the temple was rent in two. Now, if you look at this drawing here, you can see the temple on the left-hand side and the curtain in front of it. That's where the curtain would be. So that veil of the curtain was rent in twain. So just imagine that now, okay? The veil of the temple was rent in twain. And it says, and the graves were, it says, from top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after the resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. Now, when the centurion and they that were with him, watching Jesus, saw the earthquake, and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, Truly this was the Son of God. So notice, they saw the centurion, who was the military, it was the Roman commander. He saw those things. What things is he referring to? Well, if you look back, it says, Behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain. And it talks about the earthquake, and he says, when the centurion and they that were with him watching Jesus saw the earthquake and those things that were done. So he saw the earthquake. He saw the veil of the temple rent in twain. So the only place you could see the veil of the temple rent in twain is from where? The east, because the temple faced east, and the curtain of the temple, if you look again at this drawing here, the curtain of the temple faced east, and you only can see that curtain, which is that red thing on the screen there, on the left-hand side. The only way you can see that is from the east. So how could these official sites be the correct sites? The Gordon's Calvary, Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Gordon's Calvary is northwest of the Temple Mount. Church of the Holy Sepulchre is west of the Temple Mount. East would put that off way to the right-hand side in the Mount of Olives. On this old image here, this is a image from the 1800s. Probably should have showed this in today's imagery. But if you look at that red square right there, to the right of that red square is the Mount of Olives today. And the Mount of Olives mountain goes all the way down on the right-hand side, all the way down through the right-hand side. So let's say the true location of the temple is where they say it is. Why would the official location of Jesus' crucifixion be either of those places, Church of the Holy Sepulchre or Gordon's Calvary, if you believe the Bible? Because it says that the centurion, when Jesus died, saw the temple rent in twain. So it saw the temple curtain ripped in half, and so the only place Jesus could have been crucified is east of the temple. And if you look at this drawing again, he would have had to have been at a higher elevation to see that temple curtain split in half. He would have been not only east of that area, but he would have had to been at the higher elevation than the temple to have seen the curtain split. So those are two key areas. That's two key areas where we need to search today to find Christ's crucifixion. So it all depends on where the temple is to find Christ's crucifixion. Well, in this new film that we're making, we prove that the temple is in the city of David. And so to look for Christ's crucifixion, all we have to do is look east of the temple, and we're going to find it. And we have found some amazing things in that area. That's what this film's about, is the research and to present the evidence that, we have found the true location of Christ's crucifixion. And it's not in, and let me just show you this overhead shot here. This is Jerusalem, right? This is the Temple Mount. We have Gordon's Calvary over here. We have Church of the Holy Sepulchre over here. Right here is the Mount of Olives. It goes all the way down to here, right? Well, this is east. So Jesus was crucified either here, if the officials say he is. He had to have been at least there, if you believe that the temple was there, which I don't believe that's true. I believe the temple was down here. So I believe that this is the prime location of where Jesus was crucified. It's a higher elevation. You could see the temple perfectly and the temple curtain split. It's a short distance apart, so you could easily see the temple curtain split. And if you look at the old 1900 photos, you can see a great spot where Jesus could have been crucified. This right here, I believe, is the location of Christ's crucifixion. I've done a ton of research on this topic. I believe this right here are the split tombs where the rocks literally fell off. And these are tombs right here that have been cut right in half. You can see the crevices in the rock and where the rocks actually split. And you can also see the chisel marks where they carved out the tombs. And then you can see the rock splitting. So that's what we want to show in this new film, Temple, is just show these really awesome concepts that I think a lot of people have never really thought about before. And I think that people are going to walk away from this film and be blown away by the research that we have presented. And so the reason I'm doing this video today is just to get people excited about this topic, get people on board with this film. And so if you want to support this film, a great way to do that is to get a couple of products we have on the store. We have Robert Cornuke's Golgotha, which goes into the true location of Christ's crucifixion. He does a really great job at explaining everything I just did in a much better way. But yeah, this book is basically what our movie's about. The true location, Christ's crucifixion, and temple. The movie goes into both of these topics, and I think really goes beyond these books as well. I've researched pretty much. I've read every person that's talked about this, every article they've written, every every book that's even mentioned any of these subjects. I really feel like this film is well thought out, well researched, and put together in a clear, concise way that will prove without a shadow of a doubt that the true location of the temple is in the Silwan village. And we go over to the Silwan village and show things that have never been seen before over there. So if you guys believe in me, if you've seen my previous films, know I'm going to do a good job. Donate, guys. Help me get this film done. We need to get this film out there to people, and the only way I'm going to be able to get this done is if I can get some support from you guys. So I'm just reaching out to my listeners. You know, I know you haven't seen me. I'm working my tail off, though. I'm not out there every day because I'm kind of behind the scenes trying to get this film done. There's a lot of graphics that have to be done to present this stuff so people can understand it. A lot of these graphics have been made by like Bob and stuff, but they're very rudimentary. I really want to redo all the graphics and, present this in a way that people are going to love and that people can share with people to get the message out. Because why does these things matter? Well, we know that the third temple is going to be built. Bible prophecy plays a large part in the third temple. And we know that, of course, well, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. I don't want to give the whole movie away, but the east part is more important than just knowing that Jesus was crucified there, because it goes so much further than that. So all the animal sacrifices in the Old Testament were also east of the temple. You can go through every sacrifice that was done in the Old Testament, and that's another video I think I'm going to make here, just showing you guys that every sacrifice in the Old Testament was east of the temple. And so Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice, and that also took place east of the temple without the camp. And so I think I will make another video about that, showing you guys that, because once you understand these things, it's really fascinating to think about once you can wrap your head around these topics. So make sure to go to framingtheworld.com, guys. Get these books if you haven't read them. This book, Golgotha, is just mind-blowing. It's so awesome. It's a super easy read. There's pictures. So you can't go wrong with this book. It is fantastic. Also, Temple. And then also, guys, donate to the film. Help me get this out there. But, yeah, let's read some comments here. It says, very interesting, good stuff. Have you ever read Bob Cornuke's Golgotha? That's what I'm talking about, Ken. Ken is a supporter of the film. I appreciate you, Ken. I've been on tour and have seen the temple and the city of David. Yeah, and once you go over to Israel and you see these locations, it all clicks. And everything makes way more sense once you move the temple down to the city of David. And so they came out of the graves after this resurrection and saw the moment it happened. Okay, why is it important to you? Where was Jesus crucified? I don't get it. Well, I think it's super interesting, super important, because it makes the Bible, it helps make the Bible make sense. God told us this east for a reason, so we would know. And so I just think it's a fascinating topic. And I think, once you guys see all the evidence presented, you're going to be fascinated by the research as well. What do we got here? The gospel needs to get out. Yes. Not some location of the phony land of Israel. Well, I agree. The gospel does need to get out. And I think this film gives a very clear message of the gospel. And so, Jerry, I appreciate you, man. What is it? It's a matter of interest, nothing to do with gospel at all. It actually is. It has to do with gospel. It has to do with the gospel because Jesus. Once you understand that all these sacrifices go into Jesus's ultimate sacrifice, and then once you understand that the sacrifices all happened in this area, it all really clicks. The Bible makes sense. That's exactly. What do we got else? Can you turn up the volume? Well, no. Sorry, I just got that now. In my opinion, that nobody can know the temple because every single stone was cast down, nothing left. That's right. Hogan's Heroes, very important. Very important. No one knows the exact location of the temple because in Matthew 24 it says that every stone of the temple was cast down. Well, how could the Wailing Wall be part of the temple if every stone was cast down? Another proof that the Temple Mount is a false location today. But we can know the general area of where the temple was because we know for a fact that it was above the Gihon Springs. And we prove this in the film. And the Bible even specifically says that the temple was above the Gihon Springs. So we do know, and the Gihon Springs only goes for a short period, and it's not near where the Temple Mount location is today. So, yes, we can prove that. Also, it gets super interesting when you look into Abraham and Isaac. When Abraham offered Isaac as a sacrifice, it's a picture of Jesus. He was offered on the exact same hill where Jesus was crucified, I believe. So it really does kind of tie everything together. And so I just wanted to make a quick stream today. I appreciate everyone's support out there. This film has gotten a lot of support over the last year, and we have been able to do a ton of traveling to get this film shot and get unique information out there because there's a lot of information about this. There's a lot of videos released about this, but there's no real film that really clearly lays it out in a nice way that is professionally shot. And so we have spent a lot of effort to get it as professionally as we can shot. And I think that is definitely going to be the best film I've ever made. It's definitely the most interesting film I believe that I've ever made. And if you don't think it's interesting, well, I guess you're going to have to wait and see it to determine that yourself. But I hope you guys support this series. Go to framingtheworld.com, support the series. And, once you see this, you won't be able to unsee it. It literally shows up in like every page of the Bible, and the Bible will really come to life once you know these truths. Thank you so much for your time, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your day. God bless.